Hey crafty friends, it's Rick. I'm back with another video. Today I am super excited because I get to share with you the STAMPtember collab for Paper Rose Studio and Simon Says Stamp. The Paper Rose Studio stamp set, which is available now, is called Thankful Florals. You'll find it over in the Simon Says Stamp shop. I have all the links below in the video description. If they're not there now, they will be there shortly. But this is a great little stamp set by Paper Rose Studio. You have these beautiful floral images. You have some extra leaves. You have sentiments for every occasion. So we are going to do a little coloring with Olo markers today to color up this beautiful little floral design. I'm going to start out by using OR 4.8. That's my darkest color. And I'm going to blend that out with OR 4.7. And then just for kicks, I added in OR 7.6 and OR 7.4 for this floral design. It's the one I chose to use with this. I'm going to do a match pattern paper from the Autumn Florals pattern paper pad to match the coloring is what I did. So I'm going to go ahead and blend that out with my other two colors. And then I'm going to skip around the floral to color in a few petals at a time. I'm going to do this one flower in this brown shade, this rich cocoa color. I just thought it was fitting with the pattern paper that I picked to create a nice floral autumn card for this collab today. And as I said, if you remember, STAMPtember is always while supplies last. So you're going to find that stamp set over at Simon Says Stamp. Plus, there is also usually a bundle of stamp and die that matches this. And again, everything is while supplies last. So once they are sold out, they're sold out. They're gone. So take advantage of it now. Go ahead and get the Thankful Florals Stamp Set and the coordinating dies. I'm sure they are available. I don't know because I don't have the dies. All I was sent was the stamp set to play with as part of the Paper Rose design team. So I'm going to go ahead and finish coloring up this little floral right here. And then we are going to add in a little bit more color for our autumn coloring card. So I hope that, have y'all actually taken advantage of any of the STAMPtember collabs projects yet? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you've picked up so far. This has been one of my favorites. This one and the Trinity Stamp Collection, I really liked it. So I thought that was super fun. But anyway, let's get back to our coloring for a minute. So we're going to go ahead and finish coloring up our little floral. That petal back there, for some reason, I went with just the two colors. I don't know what I was thinking. I forgot to add in my midtones and my highlight color. I just colored in them two darkest colors. But I went back to what I was supposed to be doing. I guess I got sidetracked. I was so engrossed in my coloring process. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and keep coloring, doing our highlights and our lowlights. Now, if you notice the way I do things, I will color a few set of petals together at one time with the same color and then come back and blend everything out. To me, it's an easier process, especially on this size of an stamped image, especially a floral, to go ahead and just do a few petals at a time and then blend everything out using that same color. So I'm going to go ahead and finish blending this out. We only have a couple more petals to go. On the folds of where the petal kind of cups up, I just did maybe one or two colors there. On the very small ones, I just did the one color and just blended it out. Right there. I just did that one color and blended it. Called it a day. I didn't fussy around and mess around with that. All right, for our next color, our next flower, we're going to use YO 2.5 as my darkest color, YO 2.3 as my midtone, and YO 2.2. And color-wise, that's YO 2.5 is yellow ochre. YO 2.3 is butterscotch, and YO 2.2 is pudding. So we're going to go ahead and start out using that shadow color, blend it out with our midtone, which is our butterscotch. And then I will blend that out with the pudding, which is 2.2. It's a nice muted yellow color. It's kind of like it's a golden yellowish fall color. It's a perfect color combo to use for fall florals, which was the exact theme I was going for this card. I wanted it to be nice and fallish and just pretty, and I think you could use these flowers. I think some of them are peony. The one is a peony. I'm not sure about the other. The brown one I did look more like the center of a poppy to me, but I was told they were all peonies, so I don't know. I can color a floral, and I love floral stamps. I like flowers, but I can't grow them, so. And neither do I know exactly what every floral is, so. I just know what I like and what I think is pretty. So that's how this rolls, y'all. Y'all know, y'all been here before. All right, we're going to keep coloring out with our Olo markers to finish that blend, that floral pattern. And we'll be moving on to our leaves shortly. So I'll finish just blending this out. Super easy. We got those two last petals to do for our yellow autumn floral combination. So we'll just blend that out, and there we go. There we're blending our mid-tone, adding in our highlight, and bam, boom, and that floral is done. So for my leaves, I chose two colors. I went with YG 8.7 Fern, which is my darkest color I'm laying in now, and YG 8.5 Moss, which is my highlight color. I kept it super simple because there are smaller images. So I just went with the two colors, and those were the two colors that matched my pattern paper perfectly. So I'm going to lay in those shadow colors, and I will pull that out with the highlight. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up these little flat leaves over here. If I could talk. We're going to pull those out, blend that together. For the bigger leaf on the flower, I actually colored them pretty much the same, but a little bit different. I'll explain that in just a minute. So I'm going to come down the center, and then I'm going to pull out that shadow color from the center, because the way a leaf naturally curls, you have more of a dip in the center, which is a little bit darker than the curled up part. So that's how I made that. Now, I don't have the matching dies, like I said, so I'm going to fussy cut this out. And then I'm going to pull in my Autumn Florals pattern paper. You can see the plaid pattern back there that I use for my color palette. I've already cut everything out. Remember, you can get the quick card guide for this card over on my blog. And it'll take you to the link to the online store where that can be gotten for free. You just have to click the add to cart button and add it to your cart. And it's an instant download with quick instructions plus the measurements and a little small supply list that shows you the key supplies I used on the card today. And remember, these can be switched out for anything that you want when you get those quick card guides. Now, I'm going to add a tone-on-tone panel here. So I've just taken that same large flower and I'm stamping it in Vintage Photo Distress ink, which is what I used on the ink blending on the background panel. I used old paper first and then went to Vintage Photo. I'm just going to arrange these florals where I want them to be and kind of pop them down there. And I'm going to add some tone-on-tone florals in the background. This is going for my background card front. Background panel for the card front. I'm going to move this up and I'm going to stamp one more at that bottom level. Originally, I thought I was going to do have everything in this orientation. But if you looked at the thumbnail, you notice that's not where we ended up with our card today. So we're going to go ahead and stamp that one more time. I'm going to place my stamped, colored, and fussy cut flower out onto my panel and decide on the placement for my sentiment. I chose the Missing You sentiment for today. I'm going to stamp that in VersaFine Not Turn ink. And this is where I realized, oh, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to come up with a little bit of a different plan, make a little adjustments, and we'll move on. So I've got my first piece of pattern paper there. I'm going to cover the entire card front. This is the back side of that same pattern paper. And you can see those same colors represented in our coloring as well. So we're going to add a small little piece of pattern paper to the inside of our card, because you know it's got to have some finishing details on the inside. It's usually going to be pattern paper because it's easy. At this point, I cut this down and I decided that it just didn't stand out enough. So I've cut a piece of brown smooth cardstock from the neutral cardstock from scrapbook.com. And I've cut that out and I matted that together. I'm going to take and pop this up using some foam tape. So I'm just going to pop foam tape behind there, and I'm going to make sure that it's close enough together that it's not going to sag anywhere. So I've got that on there. I'm going to peel these backings off. And y'all all know this is like the hardest part of the whole construction of your card is peeling those backings off of your foam tape. So we'll go ahead and peel those off. I'm going to add liquid glue so that I can get this into place easily and wiggle around if I need to. Wiggle it around a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and pop that on there. And I'm going to add my floral. I was thought about going to the side right here. And then I changed my mind. I didn't like that. So I'm going to go right across the top. So I'm going to add a little piece of foam tape behind that top yellow flower. And then I'm going to change my mind again and add a little bit behind the other flower. And that leaf on that side, so nothing saggy sags. And we are going to take and peel those backings off. I'm going to add liquid glue behind everything so that everything was nice and up front. And everything is nice and clear. As I just changed my voice randomly for no apparent reason. So we're going to go ahead and pop that on at the top. So I'll go ahead and pop that on, and I'm going to come in and add some gel pen highlights. Now, on my florals, I like to add highlights, not only in the center where the little dots would be, whatever those are called, stamens, whatever, I don't know. But I like to add them to the ruffles of the flower as well, because naturally they would get a little bit more light than the parts that are just more flat. So we're going to add those on there. And I'm going to add some highlights through the leaves. And then, no, we're not going to stop there. We're going to add some clear, crystal clear shaker mix embellishments from Paper Rose Studio. I'm going to add 3 at the bottom, 3 around each side of the sentiment. And pop on 1 more up there at the top, because y'all know I have to have an odd number. So we're going to go ahead and pop these on. And add that little bit of shine, because we got to have a little bit of sparkle somewhere. So I'm going to pop 3 right there. And I did alternate the sizes. There's a couple different sizes, I believe, in there. If memory serves correctly. There was like some super tiny ones and some medium size and a little bit bigger. So I'm going to add those on there. And that's going to finish off that card. Here's a closer look at my card. There's the inside. If you like this video, you're probably going to like the one coming up over there. Don't forget to go shop the STAMPtember collab. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys. Stay crafty. Love you.